Hi everybody, welcome back to YesYouCan.Guru, and this is Jules. Today I'm so excited to have with me State Representative Tom Morrison. And the reason why I have him here today is I would get tons of propaganda from his opponent. And I just felt like the things I was getting in the mail was so untrue. So I wanted to go right to Tom Morrison and get the truth. So we'll be asking him some tough questions today. So thanks for joining us. So Tom, thanks for being with us today.
Oh yeah, thank you, Julie.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tom, to start off, who are you and why are you running, and tell me about your family?
Yeah, sure. So I am State Representative Tom Morrison. I live here in Palatine, but I represent our area down in Springfield. So it's Palatine, Western Arlington Heights, most of Rolling Meadows, most of Inverness, North Hoffman Estates, and a little bit of Barrington, downtown Barrington. And about 5 months out of the year, I travel down to Springfield to represent our area in the Illinois General Assembly, the Illinois House of Representatives. So we vote on state issues, we vote on budgets affecting state government, and I am a father, I am a husband, we have 4 children. We have lived, Bethany and I have been living in Palatine for the last 15 years, married for 16 years, lived in Palatine for 15 years, 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, ages almost 12, 10, 3, and almost 2.
Wow,
so
you're busy,
yeah,
busy guy.
And that's a little bit about me.
Wow, awesome. So what motivated you to run for office?
Well, what motivated me? So I think the final catalyst was I ran a disaster cleanup business with my brother. We had a franchise where we clean up fire and water damaged buildings, homes, commercial buildings, etc. And what really upset me, this was in the mid-2000s, we were struggling. Some years we did really well, some years not so well. But we still had expenses, like every home. And the governor at the time, Rod Blagojevich, had proposed what was called a gross receipts tax. So as a business, you would get taxed on your revenue in rather than your profits. And there were some years where we might have had a decent amount of revenue, but we actually lost money because it was a drought year, or we just didn't have as many customers. People would say, actually, a little side note, people would say, so did you pray that bad things would happen to people?
Oh my.
I'd say, no, but I would pray that they would call us if it ever did, because we could help them.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to do for the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois is like a disaster, a fiscal disaster, corruption, mismanagement of our tax dollars, and people are discouraged. People want to leave the state for greener prospects, greener pastures elsewhere. I'm a lifelong Illinoisan. I love this area. I love the suburbs of Chicago, and I don't want to move. Neither does my wife. My kids are happy at the school they attend. We like the change of the seasons. I love this time of the year. Our family, most of them are here, although some have moved because they wanted to get out from underneath the high property taxes, or they couldn't find work here, or they just felt they didn't want to get stuck with the bill when it eventually comes due. That grieves me, and so I wanted to do something about it. Anybody can run for office, and so I decided to put my hat in the ring. I ran, I won, and I have subsequently been re-elected 4 times. I have been endorsed by the Chicago Tribune, the Daily Herald, and a lot of you, and I have a lot of friends and supporters here, and so I'm grateful for that support.
Yes, and I appreciate what you stand for, and it's always a good feeling to know that there's a good guy in office, and that's what just grieves me, just to see what the propaganda that would come through. And I wanted to know what more I could do than just have a sign in my yard or a bumper sticker on my car, because I'm a really bad driver, or crazy driver I should say, but no tickets. So I thought, well, let's just go to Tom. And so how do you handle that when you've got a stack of propaganda?
Yeah, right. So my opponent is primarily financed by the Democratic Party of Illinois. And now I understand, I'm a Republican, she's a Democrat, and they want this seat. It's been in Republican hands, they want this seat. However, what people don't understand, or not enough people understand, is Mike Madigan. So you see his picture everywhere, you hear his name, see his name splashed about everywhere. So here's what you need to know about Mike Madigan. Mike Madigan has been a state representative from Chicago, the southwest side of Chicago, for 48 years.
Wow.
For 48 years. Illinois turned 200 this year.
Wow.
So he's been in Illinois state government
A long
casting
time.
votes for nearly a quarter of our state's whole history.
Wow.
How did he get, and so on paper, he and I are equals. We both hold the same position of state representative. We both have the same number of constituents who live in our districts.
Wow.
But every 2 years, if whoever gets reelected or elected for the first time, we go to Springfield, and the first thing that happens after we take our oath of office is vote for speaker. In other words, who among us, out of the 118 state representatives, who should be in charge of the process of assigning committees and deciding whether or not bills get heard, et cetera, et cetera. So at least in theory, I could be Speaker of the House. I'm not the oldest, I haven't been there the longest, but if 60, that's a majority, if 60 other state reps would vote for me, I would be Speaker of the House.
Wow.
How does Madigan stay in power? Because he helps elect with the money, so he and his allies have given my opponent over $660,000 for all these postcards, for the TV commercials, for the ads on your phone, all of that,
Wow.
because Mike Madigan has to make sure that he has at least 60 or more state reps who will vote for him for speaker.
Wow, that's really interesting. So in other words, he's buying her campaign.
You could put it that way, that they're
Sure.
trying to buy an election.
Wow.
And so, as I go door to door, I have met a lot of new residents of the area. So those who know me, they laugh these off. They
Right,
say,
like me.
this is silly, who would believe that?
Right.
But
That's me.
as I've gone door to door and at my kids' school, I've met a lot of new parents. They moved in 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I've met people who moved in 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So they don't know who I am, except I meet them at their door.
Yeah.
And I have to remind them, well, the Chicago Tribune has endorsed me, the Daily Herald has endorsed me. You see my yard signs all over the place. Those families know who I am, and you can confidently vote for me too.
Right. Awesome. So what are the issues that people are asking you as you go door to door?
Wait, issues? You want to talk about issues?
Well,
You
I
mean
don't
these
know.
aren't the
I
issues?
know,
You know,
I
these, yeah, this is what's frustrating to me. If only we could have an old-fashioned Lincoln Douglas
I know, yeah.
kind of debate, if we
Yeah.
did 6 or 8 or 9 debates around the district, just
Yeah.
my opponent and me having a civil discussion like you and I are having. We had one at the League of Women Voters. I go to town hall meetings, when invited to candidate forums, I go, and we had one
Yeah.
at the Arlington Heights
Mhm.
Library about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the moderator, who was the political reporter from Channel 9, he said, "Wow, you two are really different."
Yes.
Meaning,
Amen to that.
on your issues, you are really different. Okay, so what do people mention when I go door to door? And I've knocked on thousands of doors. I talk to people at the library, I talk to them at the grocery store, I talk to them at the park, at the train station, wherever. I want to be a representative that is reflecting the views of the majority of residents in our district. That's the job of a state representative, not to be beholden to special interests or the party as a whole, but what do the residents want me to focus on? So, by far, the number one issue, by far, is property taxes.
Yes, I agree.
And I ask an open-ended question. So what do you care most about as an Illinois resident? Oh my gosh, our property taxes, they just keep climbing.
Right.
Now look, we moved to this area, I'm kind of
Right.
distilling the conversation that I've had with a
Right.
lot of people.
Right.
But this includes me, this
Right,
includes
you
my
live here
family,
too.
right?
Right.
We moved to this area because we wanted to live in a clean, safe community. We want nice parks, we want a library, we want schools that will educate our children, and this is what we want. We're willing to pay taxes for that. We know we have to pay taxes for that, but at a certain point, we reach a limit, and we're approaching that limit. And we know friends and relatives and neighbors who have decided they've reached their limit, and now they're moving out.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because those of us who want to stay in Illinois now have to shoulder that extra burden of paying for this massive government
Right.
at the state level, at the local level.
Right.
And now we have a shrinking tax base.
Right.
So if we want a future in Illinois, we have to make sure that we are keeping people here, that we are drawing new people, that we are drawing new businesses as tax-paying entities so that we can maintain a quality of life, a standard of living that we all want and deserve.
Great, great. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate taking the time in your busy schedule, so we appreciate it. So vote for Tom.
Thank you.
And make sure you vote.
And, yeah, and if you have any questions at all, I have a website, Morrison, 4, staterep.com, Morrison, 4, staterep.com. And I also have a campaign phone number. If you call and leave a message, I will personally call you back. Tell me the best time when I can reach you. Typically mornings and later evenings are the best time when I'm available, but if you need another time, let me know. That phone number is 847-701-5054, 847-701-5054.
Awesome. And
Thanks,
I'll
Julie.
list that below, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And tune in tomorrow when we're talking about something else. Thanks.